Alright, now we're ready for 4-3, day 2. We're going to look at the difference of two squares. So again, we're going to be writing this on the left-hand side of the next set of pages in our interactive notebooks. And again, if you don't have the sheet that was passed out in class today, then just go ahead and copy all of the notes into your notebook. If you have the sheet, then write on the sheet, and you can tape or glue it into your notebook page. Alright, so our goals for today are going to be to recognize the difference of two squares and then to factor. The abbreviation for difference of two squares is easier just to say dots, so it saves us a little bit of time. Alright, so here we're going to have the difference of two squares. There's three things that we're really looking for. The first is we're looking to see that the degree is even. So we're going to write down degree is even. Again, I'm writing with my mouse, so it's a little bit ridiculous. Degree is, pretend like that says is even. Alright? So now the next thing is that the number of terms is 2. So it's a binomial. So a binomial means that the number of terms is 2. Binomial. A binomial means 2 terms, and you can write 2 terms next to it if you want. And then the last thing is that both A and C must be perfect squares. So both A and C, A and C must be perfect squares. Won't always have to write with my mouse, but my interactive whiteboard thing is at school, so both A and C must be perfect squares. Get a little bit better here. Perfect squares, and hopefully you're writing a little bit faster than I am. Holy cow. Alright, so you can see down here where A is. A is the leading coefficient, and C is the constant. We already took care of the squared part because if it's even, then it's automatically a perfect square. And then the x, whatever this letter is, it can be x, it can be y, whatever letter for the variable it wants to be. So whenever those three things are met, whenever the degree is even, so again, remember the largest exponent in the problem is the degree. The binomial just means that there's 2 terms, and then both A and C must be perfect squares. So now the steps for factoring, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make 2 sets of parentheses. So we're going to make parentheses, parentheses, okay? And then the second step is we're going to put a positive and a negative sign in the parentheses. So put a plus sign and negative sign, so a plus and a minus in the parentheses. So it'll look like this. I'm not going to write the word parentheses, so it'll have plus, minus. Right? Difference of 2 squares always works like that. And the last thing is to take the square root of the first term. So we're going to do the square root of the first term, and that's going to go in the first part. So here and here. We'll write the same thing twice. And then we'll do the square root of the last term. And we'll write the same thing first, and then second. Okay? Alright, so let's look at an example. So if I do x squared minus 9, so first thing is to recognize that yes, the degree is even. The second thing is to recognize it as a binomial, 2 terms. And then the third thing is that they have to be perfect squares. So since there's no number here, that means that it's a 1. So 1 is a perfect square, and 9 is a perfect square. So I do have the difference of 2 squares. So step 1, make some parentheses. Step 2, one gets a plus sign, one gets a minus sign. It doesn't matter which way. Step 3, take the square root of the first, write those down, take the square root of the second, write those down. And then we could FOIL it out and check if we wanted to. Alright, so this one, parentheses, one gets a plus, one gets a minus, the square root of the first term, square root of the second term. Alright, tomorrow we'll do some more practice. Also, if you go to My Big Campus, you have a sample quiz to take. So just to kind of check for understanding, make sure you know what's going on, so that I can evaluate whether or not we need to reteach some concepts or how well we're doing.